Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. All right, in today's episode, we're going to talk about the inevitable, the elephant in the room. We're going to talk about what's going on with Elon Musk, with this poll that he recently put up on Twitter, selling about 10% of his stake in Tesla, and what this means in the bigger picture, and why is he doing this, right? Well, why is he doing this? Why is he selling out? So we're going to answer all those questions, and probably more importantly, we're going to talk about the potential effects for the stock price itself. So before we do that, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and let's figure this out together. In case you didn't catch this over the weekend, and in case you haven't caught it by now on Monday morning, Elon Musk put a poll up on Twitter. Let's take a look at that. So here we can see the poll. Elon said, "Much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance, so I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Do you support this?" And then here you can see where the poll is. This poll is over by now. By the time you're watching this, final results, 57.9 to 42.1. And before this poll closed, Elon underneath said, "I will abide by the results of this poll, whichever way it goes." And then he clarifies abide, and he says, "Note, I do not take a cash salary or bonus from anywhere. I only have stock, thus the only way for me to pay taxes personally is to sell stock." This is actually going to happen, all right? So if it's Monday morning and you're all of a sudden, hearing about this for the first time, this is real. This is going to happen. He's going to be selling 10% of his stake. Elon's not one to mince words or put something out there just for gamemanship, at least not something like this. What does this mean? Did we see this coming? Is this, the confidence of the CEO of Elon falling out from Tesla, right? Like I've been watching stuff all weekend where people are reacting about it. We see all these clickbaity headlines of, Tesla is selling shares, ARK investors out, like just all these different things about why Tesla's falling apart. And I want to tell you right now, relax. None of that's happening. We knew this was going to happen. This was all premeditated. It was expected. One way or another, Elon had to do something. So what am I talking about? Well, let's take a look at this other article I have. Here's an article from Halter Ferguson Financial. And the headline here is, "Musk's expiring Tesla stock options put Elon in a perverse tax dilemma." Now, this article was written way before Elon put this poll out, so don't think that this article is biased purely because that poll was put out. And so the whole point of this article, it discusses, one, the way Elon's compensation works, how it works for Tesla as far as how all employees get options. And then it also talks about how Elon has been paying for his life, for, his birthday parties, for his house, his bills in general, without ever taking a salary. As we saw on the Twitter feed from Elon doesn't have any way of actually obtaining a salary. And so this article goes in and talks all those things. So I'm not going to sit here and go over everything in this article because it is fairly long and it has a lot of nuance and detail, which I highly recommend you check it out. So I'm staying here for a little bit so you guys can see this. Check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. But if you really want to know about what's going on with this, check it out, read it. That way you can come from a place of understanding rather than just being freaking out about what's going on with Elon and Tesla and selling these shares. So with that said, let me scroll down here. Again, you can see here, a tricky tax situation is forcing Elon to either take on a massive debt in billions or sell shares of Tesla. Those are essentially his two options. But if I scroll further down here, that brings us to today. Elon has been able to match 9 market value milestones with 9 operational milestones from a 2012 package. These milestones grant Musk the option to buy 22,862,050 shares at a price of $6.24 each. At the time of update, Tesla stock trades at over $1,006 per share. Again, alluding to this was actually written before he created the poll. Elon will be motivated to exercise the option before they expire, which what does it mean for Musk tax? So this is what's creating all of this. Is this this option that he has because he reached these certain milestones of 22,000 or 22 million shares, where he's going to have to either, one, he can let them just go worthless, which would be idiotic, right? He could let them go worthless and have nothing to do with it, or he can exercise them, and he's gonna have this big tax bill he has. Okay, we're talking about billions of dollars that he's gonna have to pay on this event. And so what he can do is he can continue to do what he's been doing as far as funding his life, where he can take massive amounts of debt, and this time we're talking about billions of debt, just to avoid paying these taxes. Or he can do the simple thing, which everybody voted on, where he can just exercise all of these shares, pay his taxes from it, and inevitably he's going to sit there with billions of dollars in pocket. He's going to pay a 53% tax, where 37% goes to the federal government, 13% goes to the state of California, and he'll be done with the event. But this is what his entire poll was about this event and what's going on. And so the reason I bring this up is because over the weekend, everybody really just got into this big frenzy about what's going on. We've known about this. We've known about this for a long time. We've talked about this for a long time. None of this should be a surprise to anybody. This was an inevitability for Elon. Now, the real question is, how does Elon decide to do this? Okay, because he has until about August of 2022 to really finish deciding whatever he's going to do, right? So what that means is these expire in August of 2022. So he can either choose to exercise them all at once, which, if he does that, that's a sell action. So that could have a drastic effect on the stock. Or he can choose to space it out over time to protect shareholders from, short-term huge swings in the stock. However, the devil's in the details of what could happen. So yes, initially the thought might be, okay, well, just sell them, slowly throughout the next year. And that way, you don't affect any shareholders. You don't have any huge gyrations in the stock, which is true. You could do that. But that may actually be even more volatility for the stock price, for shareholders who are just, holders of the stock. Why is that? Well, because if you think about it, the stock moves really not because of buying and selling. The stock really moves because of news, or at least on the short term, right? On the short term, it moves because of news. And so if Elon decides, I want to sell or I want to exercise these over the course of the next year and slowly do it so that, in our mind, it doesn't have a huge manipulation of the stock. Well, what's going to manipulate regardless is the media. Every single time Elon goes to exercise a portion of it, the headline's going to be Elon Musk, CEO, selling shares of Tesla again. And they're just going to try to create this narrative of the CEO of the company has no faith in the company and he's selling out. And they're going to do this every single time he exercises some of it, right? He'll essentially have a 7-week window at the end of each quarter where he'll be allowed to exercise these shares, these options. And the reason is because he is an employee, right? So there's a blackout window for him as well. The thought is, well, if you do it all at once, yes, it'll be a hit. The media will talk about you, but it's a one-time narrative, it's a one-time action. Rather than giving the media this, this continuous story over and over to talk about, where they'll stretch it out. They'll have, the negative press about it because, again, it's Tesla. So, they're going to cover about it because they want clicks because, they're all dying. They're all dying for clicks. At this point, YouTube videos get more views than any of these mainstream media outlets do. That is what's going on. All right. The sky's not falling. Elon isn't giving up on Tesla. Elon is caught between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't have much of a choice. He has to do something. And so what he decided to do was a next level move. Okay. He was genius about this. He knew he had to do something. And so what he did is he went onto Twitter. And let's revisit that tweet that he actually put out there. Now that we understand the framework, I want you to understand what he did and why it's so genius. Now that we have context, let's read this tweet again. Much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance. So I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Now, to the average person, they really aren't aware that Tesla or that Elon's between this rock and a hard place. Okay, now he has options. It's not like this is the only option he has to sell, 10% of his stake. He could take on billions in debt and avoid this and kick in the can down the road. But he's choosing not to. And the reason I think this is a next level move is because right now, with Washington, with the White House, there's this constant discussion. And although it's been suppressed lately and it's been, nixed as far as we know, there's been this talk about taxing billionaires' wealth that haven't been realized yet, right? So taxing them on unrealized gains. And this is something that we've never seen, we've never done. And so Elon is taking the opportunity to use this moment where he has to make a choice here, which either way he doesn't really have a good option, right? Taking on billions and billions of debt, that's not a great option either, because the amount of margin that he'll have to pay on this, even if it's 1 or 2%, it's still a lot of margin, right? It's a lot of interest that he has to pay. Instead, he decides to go to Twitter, right? He decides to go to the masses. He goes to where all of the critical, judgmental people of Elon, everybody who thinks he's a spoiled billionaire, everyone who thinks that, he's just a person who thinks he can get away with doing whatever he wants. Everyone, all the naysayers of Elon, Tesla, and SpaceX, he decides to come on Twitter and decides to give them a say, right? Anybody could vote in this poll. It wasn't like this was a poll for only shareholders, or, the way we see with say.com before the quarterly earnings, where based on whether or not you're a shareholder, you're able to vote for certain questions to be asked. No, this allows anybody and everybody. I mean, bots could have been created to vote in this poll, right? It doesn't matter. But the reason I think this was next level is because he knew the outcome of this. He knew what it was going to be. And the only reason he put it out here is because he already knew what the outcome would be. And so he already made his own decision. He had already decided this is the avenue he wanted to go with. And so knowing what Twitter would inevitably want, what the haters, the naysayers would inevitably say to do, he went ahead and put this out there. Because now, instead of being this decrepit billionaire like Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos isn't paying billions and billions of dollars taxes now, Elon is choosing to. Elon is choosing to let the people decide whether or not he pays these billions of dollars. So in a way, Elon is given a chance to frame himself a little differently than the likes of Bezos. All right, so he's the billionaire who could choose to avoid paying these taxes, or he could exercise these options, pay these billions of dollars of taxes, and not be yet another billionaire avoiding taxes. It was up to him. He gave the choice to the people. The people voted, that's what he'll do. And so I don't know if this will actually bear any fruit as far as people getting off his back about being the richest man in the world who refuses to pay taxes, gets away with everything. But if nothing else, this does silence that conversation for a little bit, and it gives a opportunity for the discussion to be something else. It at least silences the people who really think that the billionaires never pay any taxes, even though they're the ones who are investing in the land. They're the ones who are creating these new jobs. They're the ones who are paying the property taxes. They're the ones who are funding all this new research. They're the ones who create the opportunity for all these people so that then they can pay taxes. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? The idea that these companies don't pay taxes is ridiculous. That's a juvenile way of looking at this. That's very shallow understanding of how our tax system works. But with that said, this does at least pander to those people who have a low level of thinking for a second. And, inevitably people who are mad are going to stay mad. People who don't like to be happy and always want to find an issue or something, they're going to continue to do that. But this is why I think this is a next level move by Elon, because for a second at least, it shuts them up. So, kudos to Elon for doing something like this. Now, me personally, I wish this wasn't happening. I knew it was going to happen one way or another. I thought there was more of a likelihood that he would sell or he would exercise his options rather than just taking on more debt, billions of dollars for what, right? It makes no sense. So I just want to use this episode today. By the time you're watching this, it's Monday morning. I don't know what's going to happen with the stock. That's the truth. I have no idea. No one does. We can't predict the future. What I can say is that, in my opinion, now this is investment advice, what I think will probably happen is Monday, I can see us having a steep drop off. Maybe even up to, over 20%. Maybe we get down back into the 900s. If that happens, you will see me buying long-term options. I'll be buying leaps for 2024. I'll be doing immediately. I don't even have the cash ready for that, but I'll be doing that. Okay, one way or another, that will be my strategy. Why do I say that? Well, because I think if it drops off that steeply on Monday, I think that Tuesday we start to recover. By the end of the week, we've probably made up more than 50% of whatever we lost. Right? It's a one-time news. Once people digest, and people should have already been digesting this, so it really shouldn't move that much. We should have all predicted this. So I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact. And then we have lots of other good news coming out. All right. And tomorrow we should also get China numbers. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen. I don't think this is going to be that big of a deal. Now, the second thing I could see happening is that we have a, say, 5 to 10% drop off tomorrow. Tuesday, we see another 8%. Wednesday, maybe we see 1%. And we slowly taper off. And then we kind of grind up higher. Now, if that's the case, I'll probably still do the same thing. I'll try to wait until we get closer to what I feel is the bottom, which again, I think about 20, maybe 22% of a drop off would be the max we would see from this, which even that is ridiculous. And to me, thank you. This is just giving me an opportunity to buy more, to invest more, and to make more money. All right. This is when you buy. So for any of those who, again, non-investment advice, but for any of those who have thought, oh, Tesla's too expensive or anything of that nature, or I just want to get in when the pullback happened, this week is probably going to be your chance. So get in there now. And that serves to my last point about the stock price. I do think there's also a third possibility. So the first possibility, huge drop off Monday, and then we start to recover throughout the week. Second, we have a drop off on Monday, drop off Tuesday, very small drop off Wednesday, and then we slowly build back up. That's two. The third possibility is I could see a lot of people start buying into Tesla just because of this event. Why? Well, I think a lot of people are going to start to think that, the second it starts to drop down, say it drops 5%, I can see a lot of people starting to pile in because like, all right, well, this is my chance. If it drops down 10%, even more people, flow in to buy the event. I think a lot of people think that Tesla's healthy, and so a huge drop off isn't warranted. And so any opportunity they get, I think we're going to see a flood of investors come in. So those are the three scenarios I could see happening. I think we'll know a lot fairly early tomorrow morning, and that's where I'll make my decision on what I'm going to do. I won't be buying any shares. If I buy anything, it'll be leaps, and that's pretty much it. That's all I have for today. I hope this was informative. I hope this put a little bit of color around what's going on, what the scenario is. No need to freak out. We expected this. This is not news. This is not a big surprise. The only big difference is Elon creating a poll and giving people a choice to decide, should he exercise and pay taxes, or should he take out a loan and pay billions of dollars of tax, or use a loan to essentially protect him from the inevitability of the cost that he's going to have associated with this event. Nothing to worry about, nothing to panic about. All right, we're going to leave it there for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helped you put some understanding around everything. Before you leave, help us out. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I really appreciate it. Helps the channel grow, helps get this content out to more people. We'll leave it there. I hope you have a great start to your week. I love you all. Peace.